In this video you'll be learning how to draw lines using Pygame, and we'll be using this to draw our ground in our no internet game. So the first thing that I'd like you to do is open up the code that you ran last time, and then also in our Google Classroom page, if you would open up this reference sheet, which is under the Pygame reference sheet in our classwork page. And then if you scroll down here, you will see a section called Draw a Line, and this is what we will be using primarily today. And this will show you the line of code that I will be using, and then it kind of labels what each parameter inside this line means, and what each thing does, and what information you need to be typing in there. So again, open that up and kind of have that off to the side. All right, so going back to our code, again, when we run our program, we get a blank window here. And before we actually start drawing things, let me explain how the window is set up. So in our init section over here on the left, you have two variables. You have a width variable and you have a height variable. You'll notice that both of those are set to 480. So that tells the window to be 480 by 480 pixels. All right, and we have a screen variable below that that sets up the window that way, and you'll notice that it provides the width and the height to that. So that means that our window here is 480 pixels this way and 480 pixels this way. Okay. All right, and all the commands that we're going to be adding are going to be in this draw section right here. And you'll notice the only command that's in there right now, it says screen.fill black. And what that does, if you look at our window, you notice the entire screen is black except for the title bar, but we're just focused on the screen itself, which is black. So let's go ahead and draw a line. So to draw anything, you start out with pygame.draw. Today we're focused on lines. We're going to say dot line. And the first parameter that you want to add in here is the screen. Okay, and the screen variable we defined up here when we gave it the width and height of the window. Okay, and then the next thing that we want to add is the color, and I'm going to make this white. Okay, and if you notice in our color section, we have not defined white yet. So let's go ahead and define that. So I'm going to say white equals 255, 255, and 255. And again, if you use that reference sheet, I'm going to open it up here. The way colors work is in sections of 3 like this, where we define the color name like white, and then that first color is red, the middle number is green, and then the last number there is blue. So this is called an RGB value, standing for red, green, and blue. And each number can range from 0 to 255. And to make white light, you need all colors, red, green, and blue, in their maximum value, which is 255, in order to make white light. So that's why in our code we have 255 for all 3 of those values. Okay. So going back down here, we're going to add another comma at the end of that, and then we're going to add a set of parentheses here, and this is going to be our x, y coordinate for the starting point of our line. Okay, and I'm going to make this the origin, so I'm just going to type in 0, 0 for that. All right, and then we're going to add in another comma and then another set of parentheses, which will be the ending point for our line. And I'm just going to make this a short line that goes 50, 50. Okay, so it'll start out at 0, 0, and then it'll end at 50, 50. So I'm going to save this, Control S, close out of the old window, and then run it again. And then you will notice that this creates a line, a short line, that goes from the top left of our window down a little bit. Okay, and the way that this works is the top left of the window is actually the origin. So that is at 0, 0. And then where the line ends here is at 50, 50. Okay, so the way that the x, y coordinate plane works with this game window is it works as you'd expect from what you've learned about XY coordinate planes in math class. The x increases as you go further right, but notice the y actually increases as you go down. So at the top it's y, the y is 0, and then as you go down to the end here, the y would be 480, since that's what we currently have it set up as. Okay, so what I want you to do now is change this line of code that we added here, so that the line doesn't just go to 50, 50. I want it to go all the way down to the very far bottom right corner of our game window. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video here, and then come back once you get that done. Okay, welcome back. So you should have a line that goes all the way down diagonally to the bottom right corner of your window. Let me show you how you do that. So we know that this window again is 480 by 480. So that means that this bottom point down here, since it's all the way over on the far right on the X, that would be X 480. And since it's all the way down on the bottom for the Y, that'd be Y 480. So instead of 50/50, we simply want to put 480 and 480 in there. Okay, if we save that, Control S, and then close out, run, you'll notice that the line goes all the way diagonally down to the bottom right. Okay, one thing that you can do is instead of using the values 480 here, you notice that those are defined actually in these variables up here in width and height. So we can actually replace this 480 for the X as width, and then 480 for the Y as height. So if we save that, close out of the old one, and relaunch it, that has the exact same effect. And sometimes it is better to use those variables because, one, it makes your code easier to understand because we know that that represents width and that represents height. And also, if we were to ever change the program so that it would be larger, then this code would still work. We wouldn't have to go in here and change those numbers because we have them set as variables, and we could just change these numbers here. Okay, what I want you to do now is add another line, keep this one here, but add another line that goes from the top right down to the bottom left. Okay, go ahead and pause the video again and come back when you get that. Okay, welcome back. So you should have the line going from the top right to the bottom left. You should have an X formed here. Let me show you how to do that. So I'm going to copy this line of code and put it down here. All right, and then again, to start the line in the top left, the X is going to be all the way over. So that means that the X needs to be 480, or we can use the width variable like we did last time. So instead of this starting at 0, we're going to make that width. Okay, and then as far as the Y goes for this point, it's all the way at the top, so that should stay at 0. And then if we're ending down here, the X is all the way to the left, so that should be 0. But the height, you'll notice it's all the way down, so that should still be at 480, or it should still use the height variable. So that is going to stay the same, but the X needs to change to 0. We're going to save it, Control S, exit out of the old one, and run. And then you should have a X that shows up. Okay. What we're going to do now is just add in our line that's going to be our ground, which is just going to go in the middle here, and then we'll just get rid of these other lines. These were just here for practice. Okay, so to make the line in the middle, again, what we want it to be is a horizontal line that's going to go all the way from the far left to the far right, and it's just going to go exactly in the middle of the screen. Okay, so again, I'm going to just copy this line of code and put it down here. All right, so since it's going to be in the middle, the far left, the X, is going to be 0. So instead of having width there, we're going to put that at 0. And then the Y, you'll notice we're not doing a corner this time. We're doing right in the middle. So if we want it to go in the middle, then that means that it needs to be in halfway of the height. So what we can do is we can replace this 0, and we can say height, and we can put a /2. And what that /2 means is to divide it by 2. So that means that we're going to take the max value of 480 divided by 2. We're going to get 240, and that's going to put that point right there, which is where we want it. Okay, and the ending point is going to go all the way over here. So that's going to go, it's going to be the width. So we're going to change that from 0 to width. And then to go again halfway across, it's going to be the exact same thing that we put in there last time, which is height just divided by 2. Okay, you save that, close out of the old one and run it. You'll notice that we now have a line that goes halfway across, and that is going to be our ground. So then to just kind of wrap up, we're going to get rid of our other practice lines, save it, run it. And you now have a horizontal line, which is going to be the ground of our no internet game. All right, so that'll wrap it up. Next time we will be adding in our player that we will get on our ground. I'll see you next time.